All right, here we go. Welcome in, welcome in. It is a Monday. It is a Reaction Monday here on the show in the Bureau. That is the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau Insurance all across the great state of Mississippi. Your hometown heroes. That's your local Farm Bureau Insurance agents. I'm here. Barely. Beaver is here. And thank goodness you're here. And we got a show. And let me just say, before we go too far into things, I thought in most ways, from a sports perspective, I thought this weekend was perfect. I thought it was absolutely perfect. Now, you know, I guess I could ask the question, or maybe the right way to say it is, you know, raise the moral issue. Is it right to root for someone else's demise? Is it right? Is it healthy to sometimes have no positive rooting interest? You know, you don't have somebody you're just, you know, you're dying to see them win, but you have a negative rooting interest in that you really want to see them lose. Is that okay? Is it common? Because if it is okay, then that's why this weekend was an excellent sports weekend. Tip of the cap to the Hogs. Y'all call those Hogs. Now, Tennessee fans, you know, the whole country was rooting for Arkansas. It's just the way it is. Yep, they were all woo-pigging this weekend, and Arkansas put it on Tennessee. And then, you know, I'll have to admit, I was pretty tickled with the way things went with Florida State getting bounced, and particularly the way it worked out. So anyway, that's on the table with you today, too, on this Reaction Monday. What did you think of the weekend's baseball results? You know, and I guess if you say that, too, from a State fan perspective, there's been a lot to pay attention to there. Not only do you have the announcement of the new coach that came through this past week and that event on Thursday night and all those things, but you also have now had several days of mostly good news for State's baseball program, retaining certain players that you were hoping would stay and play a year at least for the new coach and new coaching staff, but also incoming guys. Like half of Virginia's baseball team is following, or it feels that way anyway. I'm sure that's an overstatement, but it feels like half of Virginia's baseball team is coming to start to play for him next year. So, you know, I guess what that means is if you're a State fan and you're happy about that, which everybody is, then when turnabout becomes fair play later on down the road, you can't kick and scream about it. Like if you have a coach leave and take your team with him, you know, if it's going to benefit you on one hand and you like it, you can't say much when it doesn't benefit you on the other hand. And maybe everybody's past throwing a fit about it because when it does happen, because it's just the world that we live in. So anyway, get on in here. I hope you'll be a part of it today. I'm going to need your help. Voice is, I'm pretty much well. It's just voice is very, very weak and are getting weaker. You know, we'll see if it hangs on. It is talking season, you know, in every sense of the word, and what that meant, what Steve Spurrier meant when he said it back several summers ago. It's talking season, so I hope that I'm able to talk. But the voice is trying its best to get really weak on me. So I'll hang in there if you'll help me out today, all right? So get on in here. Your comments on the live stream, if you're on Facebook or YouTube or X, formerly Twitter. If you're able to text me on the Country Pleasing text line, that'd be great. Country Pleasing sausage on grocery store shelves all around the Southeast. That's 885-3776, 601 number, 885-3776, excuse me. And then you can also call me on the Divinity phone. The number to call is 897-1059. Got it? That's a 601 number, 897-1059. I prefer at this moment in time to talk to Beaver and see how his weekend was and see how he's doing. I hope that, at least right now at this moment, I hope that Bill is not in there distracting him while he tries to do his job. Beaver.
Not yet, but you know that's coming.
Not a matter of if, is it? It's just a matter of when. It'll either be when the big project is over or just before it begins, one or the other.
Big project.
My man, Bill. Well, Beav, how was your weekend, sir?
It was fine, just fine.
Okay. You know what I noticed about the weekend, Beaver?
What?
Summer officially arrived. If you had any doubts about whether or not it was summertime, like I think it was this weekend's the first time this year in 2025 where I walked downstairs first thing in the morning and all the windows and the door, the glass door and everything are completely fogged over with humidity outside. So, Beav, as much as a cold weather freak as you are, loving the cold weather, I'm assuming you're pretty miserable this time of year.
I don't like it. I don't like it, and I won't like it again until November.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. Are you the kind of person who, this time of year, the AC in your car is on blast, like full blast, when you shut the car off so that when you crank it up, it's going to blast you full blast with that hot air until it cools off?
I don't go full. I go 3. I go level 3 out of 4.
Okay. Why?
It's just because level 4 is too loud.
I'm with you.
And I need to be able to hear, because I still don't have a working radio since February of 2021.
Right.
So, I just stream on my phone.
Yeah.
And it's so if I get the air conditioner to the level 4, it's too loud. Yeah. It drowns out. But so anyway, but 3 is a comfortable level.
Yeah, I got you.
So it's a nice level.
I got you. Annabeth is like you. She is hot nature. She gets hot really easily, likes the cold weather. And, this is the time of year where when we make trips together, Beaver, in the car, I will arrive at our destination wearing a long sleeve hoodie or a jacket. I do. I've even had times in dead of summer where, like, it was recent, a couple years ago, Mary Liddy got really tickled at me that I was so frozen inside the car riding with Annabeth. I was driving that I found some blanket and I said, Mary Liddy, hand me that. And I wore it kind of like a shawl and tied it under my chin. And they were, simultaneously embarrassed for anyone to pull up beside us and see me. And also they were cracking up all at the same time. Because let me just tell you, man, as cold as it will go and as whatever the highest velocity that air will come out of those vents, that's what the homecoming queen is going to have it going this time of year. You can bank on that. All right. Well, with the start of the show has happened. Now, let me get over here to Hog Jowl. He deserves the tip of the cap because his hogs, man, listen, I'm just going to say it. Like, I think I experienced this weekend what it's like, a little bit of what it's like to be an Arkansas fan, because I was effectively one, as was the rest of the country. What do you chalk that up to? Nobody likes Tennessee baseball. Okay, and I guess some of the reasons are obvious. They won the whole thing last year. And I think what happens is when you say that, and it's true, you can't you are more likely to find a fringe Tennessee Volunteer fan who doesn't like his own baseball team than you are to find a non-Tennessee fan who doesn't hate them. And then what happens is that group of Tennessee fans will tell you, yeah, well, the reason is because they're good. You know, they treat us like the villain just because we're good. We are good. But I promise you that's not just the reason. It's the way you have gone about it for the last 2 to 3 years. And I felt like last year was a little bit different. That team last year that won it all, they kind of backed off a little bit on the shenanigans. But the team 2 years ago, that was the year, 𝐷𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬, that said, the way to get the whole country to pull for Notre Dame in something is to put them in a super regional in Knoxville. And then, you know, you see what happened. And the same was kind of true this weekend for Arkansas baseball. Anybody associated with baseball anywhere, I'm talking high school players and coaches, other college players and coaches, and fringe fans, and everything in between, was rooting for the Arkansas Razorbacks to put a knot on Tennessee's head and eliminate them. Bunch of mouthy, crybaby, all bark, no bite, yell at umpires, you know, put on a dramatic show. Very good, very talented. But, man, we couldn't get rid of them quick enough. And so on behalf, 𝐷𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬 baseball. A round of applause for the Razorbacks. Way to go. To rid us of the big orange drama, in what is a really cool event, College World Series. And then the other side of that, congrats to Dave Van Horn in Arkansas. All right, so Hog Jowl texted the show, and he said, hope you had a terrific weekend. Congrats to the Hogs on victory over the Vols in the Super Regional. He said, here's why I think they have a great chance in Omaha. From top to bottom, there's no easy outs on the team. They're the top defensive team in the field. Their pitching is outstanding since they've gotten healthy. They made it through the regional and super regional undefeated, playing with confidence. And they're going in there to win. He said Dave Van Horn, DVH, got very emotional after winning the Super, saying this is a special team and he loves them. All the players love Dave Van Horn and want to win for him. We'll see, he says, in Omaha Hogs, baby. Yeah, congrats. Congrats. And who are they? We'll get into that in a minute. I'll look at kind of what the College World Series bracket is. It's not completely filled out because we have a Game 3 that's happening tonight between Murray State and Duke. Duke won the first one, and then Murray State absolutely throttled them yesterday. What was it, 18 runs or 19 runs or something like that? Grumpy texted the show. And he said, Matt, hope y'all had a great weekend. Grumpy's grandson, Holt, played in the championship tournament in Starkville and won. Look at there. Look at him. Thanks for the picture. Congrats, Holt. It's a good-looking trophy. He says, hopefully one of many championship rings in his athletic career. And then he thanked Jesus for that. Well, Grumpy, yeah, thanks for the picture and congrats to them on the win. Jason in Flagstaff text the show. They say you and Beaver should Google Ed the Zebra. I've been cracking up over it all weekend. Okay, wasn't that somewhere a zebra got loose? Yeah, a zebra got out somewhere and they had to chase him down, right? And they finally caught him and airlifted him somewhere. Where did they take him? Ed the Zebra. Kenny, don't call me Ken. He texts the show. He says that ugly orange is enough for me to dislike him. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, it is. The Tennessee orange, if you were ranking the oranges of the various oranges that are out there in college sports, and I'm not going to hit all of them, right? But, you obviously have Tennessee and Texas, and then you have, Oregon State. You have Oklahoma State, which those two to me are basically the same color palette. I don't know if you would to look it up if they'd be exactly the same, but they're basically the same. Same orange, same black, even same color scheme, right? Oregon State and Oklahoma State, both OSU. Isn't that odd? Who else? Syracuse. Of course, Auburn's got some orange in there, but then it's more of an accent. They're not super duper orange. And then, like what? Sometimes Florida has an orange. And then there's a few others. For me, the best orange, the most palatable, meaning I can stand it the best, is the burnt orange from Tennessee. It didn't bother me. But the first time that I ever went to Tennessee for a football game, I do remember, it's the honest truth, and it wasn't because I had some sort of built-in hate for them. It didn't bother me. I mean, I didn't care one way or the other. Just went up there, and after spending a whole day up there, where everywhere you look, it's everywhere, that particular color of orange, it's kind of like bordering on the fluorescent orange of the push-up popsicle type of orange. It's just bordering on a sherbet orange. Can sherbet be orange? You know what I'm talking about. That after you see it everywhere in your view for about a day, you'll start to get nauseated. It will. It'll turn your stomach. Literally, I'm saying it'll nauseate. You'll need, you know how you feel when you get car sick? You'll start to feel that way after looking at it all day long, everywhere you look. I'm telling you, if you've never gone through that, trust me. Scott texted the show. He's in agreement. He said, I couldn't wait for Tennessee to get put out. And here's the other thing too. Okay, if you're like me, and I will say this too. Earlier, I think I got my mother-in-law's blessing on rooting against somebody. The question was, is it okay, even is it right to root against someone? You're not necessarily rooting for someone. You're just rooting against someone. You're rooting for something or someone to fail. See what I'm saying? It's not that I really pull for Oregon State. It's just I bad wanted to see Florida State get beat. The question is that okay? Well, I got my mother-in-law's blessing on that. She says, yes, it's fine. So, if you were like me, not only rooting for Tennessee and Florida State to get put out, okay, but wishing it could happen in such a way as to force them to consider being humbled. Well, boy, did it ever more happen. Because yesterday, both those, you look at Tennessee, they threw that kid out there on the mound who transferred to them from Ole Miss, who's a big-time left-handed pitcher. But he's like a hothead. And at times earlier this year, it's just all kinds of stupid, immature, you-know-what going on with him. Like pushing some Auburn guy at the plate when it was totally unnecessary. Running off the field and show like it's a me, look at me, I'm going to put on a show, me type of deal. Now, he's good. And in the biggest game of their entire season, after, it's elimination day. If they don't win, they run him out there on the mound and he goes for 3 2/3 and Arkansas hits him all over the park and hit a grand slam out of the park. And ran him. And you're like, okay, I hate to pull against somebody individually, but a kid needs to be humbled. And sometimes the thing that will help you to mature the quickest is being humbled. Baseball just seems to have a way of doing that more so and quicker and more effectively, it seems like, than any other sport. And then the pitcher for Florida State, the one who completely showed his rear end last week against Mississippi State, to the point that even Hall of Famer Chipper Jones called him out on social media and said, hey, man, you don't behave that way. They run him out there, trot him out there against Oregon State, game 3, win or go home. He doesn't make it out of the first inning. They 7-run him in the first inning, and he goes walking to the dugout. Same guy who, I'm talking, he's cocky, strutting around like a rooster, running his mouth and everything the week before. We can't get 3 outs this week out of him. So I don't know if people will get humbled after those kinds of experiences or not, but I'm sitting here watching it, pulling for that kind of thing, and then it happened. And so That's why I'm asking the question. You know, I almost feel guilty being as old as I am and kind of like rooting that hard against a team or even a certain player or two, but man, they needed it. Did they ever more need that or what? And let's just say it like it is. Their fan base too ever more needed what happened. Tennessee and their fan base in tow, and Florida State and all of the Seminole family, in my opinion, they really needed what happened to them this week for their own good. Hallelujah. Is that petty? Is that immature of me? Most of you are saying it's fine. It's fine, Matt. All right, look, I'm just getting started with you here today. Voice hanging in there so far. Seems like I go through this about once or twice a year. I need to lean into the microphone and not try to talk as loud. That's what I'll do. It'll be very podcast host-esque of me, won't it? I'm doing the best I can. Y'all hang in there. Here we go. Your texts, your comments coming up as we get started. Back after this.
I'm Eddie Holcomb with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I'm Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
I think you know what time it is. It's time to eat. Country pleasing, jalapeno and cheddar, green onion. And no, it's not a grill, see that? But the fire is just about burnt down enough where it's time to put some of this on there. And the only decision when it comes to country pleasing sausage is which flavor, jalapeno and cheddar or maybe green onion. Both.
Break me off a piece of that.
Look at that. You know what that is? That's real green onion. Like that monkey who set his tail on a railroad track. It won't be long now. Country Pleasing sausage, these flavors, and many, many others. Get them online at countrypleasing.com. At a grocery store near you, pretty much anywhere in the Southeast. Walk up in there and say, Country Pleasing, please. They'll know what you're talking about.
Grew up on a family farm out past Leland, just born and raised here in the Mississippi Delta. Never really thought about moving out. You know, it's where my roots are. Our family's a big sports family. It was 4 boys and 1 girl, and all 4 of us boys went and played ball at Delta Community College. My dad, he's always been honestly a role model of mine. He's farmed his whole life. We attend St. James Catholic Church in Leland, where we went to church my whole life, and then now continuing my family, me and my wife and my 3 kids. Being a Christian is everything for me and my family. Being born and raised here in this area, there's just something about this area. I mean, when you pull into it, you don't see a whole lot, but being born and raised here in the farm families and just the people that grew up here, the people that you see here, you see in the grocery store, you go to church with, small town community, you're gonna run into people that you know. It puts a smile on your face knowing that you know the people in your area, in your community. Get to know them as friends and now bring them in to my office here and creating that relationship, extending it on, getting them as insureds, as customers of mine, who I call friend. I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau, and we are the home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and murraywest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned.
They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. When I say they do quality stuff, they really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, murraywest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough. Turn your mic on, Matt. All right, back with you. I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau Insurance, go with the home team. Gene says our pitching rotation is already set for next year. He's on Facebook watching the live stream. I was wondering about that, right? Because Davis said he's coming back. Who are the others? McPherson, who else? And the one cat for Virginia said he's coming. Gene said with the NCAA settlement, we now have the money to pay for NIL. Okay, I tell you what, Gene, on that note, that is a good reminder for me because that's one of a couple of headlines that are out there today on this Monday. At least for me, there's some quotes from the conference commissioners about that stuff, including a baseball update or two. So let's get that in right now. Headlines on the show.
Good evening. I'm Ron Burgundy, and this is what's happening in your world.
Good evening, and welcome to Eyewitness News.
Here's what's making news.
Headlines on the show brought to you by the Mortgage Man Group, powered by Luminate Bank. Find them online at mortgagemanms.com. Okay, so here it is, Gene. Conference commissioners bullish on new NIL enforcement. So we're just a few days after they get this House settlement, the judge passes it on through. It allows schools to pay the athletes directly with revenue sharing. And then it says the most powerful conference commissioners are bullish in their ability to enforce NIL rules in a new system. Now, they have not made any punishments clear and all that kind of stuff, but we get the House settlement on Friday. Then you had the former MLB executive Brian Seeley. They named him the CEO of a new enforcement organization. It's called College Sports Commission. Now, let me stop right there, Gene. I'm not about to go on some 10-minute rant on this stuff like I usually do. And I know you're all applauding me for that. Hold your applause. Make sure I do it first. But here's the thing about it for me. I understand it's going to be tough for them to enforce and to get their arms wrapped around it. But they're trying. This is a way to try it. They're trying to do it. You can say, oh, well, I think they're going to be lenient. Somebody else may go, you can argue that until the cows come home. My point is, I can get involved in something with a structure. I can't get involved in something without a structure, which is what we've had for the last 2 to 3 years. No structure, leadership just out here doing whatever they had to do, keep drawing their check. But all of a sudden now this thing passed, and they immediately named this former Major League guy. He's the CEO of the new enforcement organization, College Sports Commission. And his job is going to be this. He's got a whole team. They are responsible for enforcement of the new rules, which includes revenue sharing, third-party payments to players for NIL deals, roster limits, all this kind of stuff. So anyway, to point it out, they had this conference call These commissioners were on it. Jim Phillips of the ACC, for example, talked a little bit today, and said they were ready to come forward with this stuff. And then he goes, ultimately he said the rules and the boundaries are going to be under that guy, that Seeley. It's going to be under his leadership. And here was the quote. This is the ACC commissioner. We're in the process of developing some of those rules and structure and overall implementation of that. Our schools want rules, and we're providing rules, and we will be governed by those rules. And if you break those rules, the ramifications will be punitive. Okay, the reason that is headline number one is because for me personally, that's a big deal. Maybe it took a court case. It took a judge weighing in on the settlement. She puts it into law. There's a cap on the revenue share. The schools and the conferences can figure all that out. And now they've created an enforcement model. They are telling me that at the conference level, they are very interested in the clearinghouse and making sure these things pass their standards. And if somebody's breaking the rules, they're going to try to punish them. I understand that we used to have a system with rules and people flaunted it, and the big boys got special treatment. I get it. But at least you have them. At least you have them. And to me, it was almost like a breath of fresh air that finally, a little bit of structure which allows me as an individual who I claim to have my feet on the ground to get behind it again is a game changer for me. I was really happy to see it. That's why it's headline number one. Okay, you have one super regional that has still not been decided. That is in Durham, North Carolina, Duke and Murray State. Duke won game one. Murray State won yesterday. So game 3 tonight, 6 p.m. Central first pitch, 6 Central, 7 Eastern. Murray State scored 19 runs yesterday in that win to even the series and to force this game 3. And so watch them get shut out tonight. But anyway, you get that final one and see if it's going to be Murray State or Duke. The other 7 teams that have advanced in the World Series or to the World Series are obviously Louisville, UCLA, Oregon State, LSU, Arizona, Coastal Carolina, and Arkansas. So the SEC has 2 teams in the College World Series. The ACC has 1, but potentially 2 if Duke were to get in. But it's interesting. Okay, so UCLA, they're technically Big Ten, right? Oregon State's still technically Pac-12. Arizona's still technically now Big 12, but they are all 3 of those the former Pac-12. And then, of course, Coastal Carolina in there who eliminated Auburn. And those are your headlines brought to you by the Mortgage Man Group, powered by Luminate Bank. Right here in Mississippi. Find them online at mortgagemanms.com. Mortgagemanms.com. Let me get caught up here. Denzel texted the show a bit ago on the Country Pleasing text line. He said, even though Arkansas plays LSU first in the College World Series, the World Series is setting up for Arkansas to win the title, and if they don't, I don't think they ever will. Yeah, I know, but, you're going to start off with LSU on the same side as them. That's tough. LSU, really good. Kenny, don't call me Ken, said powder blue is just as bad as Tennessee orange. True story. I don't know, though. Here's the problem I have with going with that. Is that it's a little easier on the eyes. And there's so many other teams out there that wear it. Like I remember growing up when, the Atlanta Braves, before they changed their uniforms in about, 87? 8? Back to the originals. Prior to that, they were wearing some baby blue stuff on the road. The Cardinals' road uniforms were powder blue. The Phillies were wearing road uniforms that were powder blue. The Twins were wearing road powder blues. Who else? Am I missing anybody? So it was a little more common. It still is. Get this. I've flipped onto my phone and watched a little bit. I was tracking the scores of the Coastal Carolina Auburn deal, and I flipped onto it to watch like an inning the other day. And they did a pan or two of the stands, and in that little bit I watched, they had Auburn fans wearing that color. And the reason it jumped out at me because I was thinking, man, is that a Coastal Carolina? No, because it wasn't Coastal Carolina fans. It was Auburn fans that had Auburn logos wearing that color. It's just more common, I guess, is what I'm saying. Scott said Tennessee is the Bush League baseball team of the SEC. Oh, and I would agree with this. Boomer Sooner texted the show and said golf and baseball are the two most humbling sports. Yeah, I would go with that for sure. One, because like golf looks easy. Not at all. I'm not sure baseball looks easy, but if you show up the game, there's something about baseball. It's like if you behave in a certain way, it's coming. It's coming to get you. That's what RT texted the show earlier. He said, "Hey Beaver, karma, baby." Let's see, unnamed texter. Yeah, I was talking about Arkansas, and he says they are, of course, playing the only other SEC team in Omaha. But then he said, put the names out there. Ace Reese, Reed Stallman, Bryce Chance, Ben Davis, Ryan McPherson, Charlie Foster, all back. State, in terms of since the end of the season, the tidbits of information and the momentum for state baseball has been very positive. People are really excited about it. Getting all those players back, adding in some of the Virginia players that played for Brian O'Connor over there. I'm sure Virginia fans are a little miffed, but, you would be too. It's crazy to think about it. The season just ended, but State's got a lot of positive momentum in baseball, it seems like. All right, a little bit of time left here in this hour on the other side of the break. Back after this in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau. Go with the home team. Stick around.
I'm Eddie Holcomb with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I'm Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
I think you know what time it is. It's time to eat. Country pleasing, jalapeno and cheddar, green onion. And no, it's not a grill, see that? But the fire is just about burnt down enough where it's time to put some of this on there. And the only decision when it comes to country pleasing sausage is which flavor, jalapeno and cheddar or maybe green onion. Both.
Break me off a piece of that.
Look at that, what that is. That's real green onion. Like that monkey who set his tail on a railroad track. It won't be long now. Country Pleasing sausage, these flavors, and many, many others. Get them online at countrypleasing.com. At a grocery store near you, pretty much anywhere in the Southeast. Walk up in there and say, "Country Pleasing, please." They'll know what you're talking about.
Grew up on a family farm out past Leland, just born and raised here in the Mississippi Delta. Never really thought about moving out. It's where it's where my roots are. Our family's a big sports family. It was 4 boys and 1 girl, and all 4 of us boys went and played ball at Delta Community College. My dad, he's always been honestly a role model of mine. He's farmed his whole life. We attend St. James Catholic Church in Leland, where we went to church my whole life, and then now continuing my family, me and my wife and my 3 kids. Being a Christian is everything for me and my family. being born and raised here in this area, there's just something about this area. I mean, when you pull into it, you don't see a whole lot, but being born and raised here and the farm families and just the people that grew up here, the people that you see here, you see in the grocery store, you go to church with, small town community, you're gonna run into people that you know. It puts a smile on your face knowing that you know the people in your area, in your community. Get to know them as friends and now bring them in to my office here and creating that relationship, extending it on, getting them as insureds, as customers of mine, who I call friend. I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau, and we are the home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and MurrayWest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. I say they do quality stuff. They really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, MurrayWest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough.
1059 and worldwide at thezone1059.com.
Back with you. Hale State fan said Ed the zebra was about 40 miles from his house. All right, Jason told us to look up Ed the zebra. It was a runaway zebra. Who should I read it from? I saw it somewhere, like it was maybe it was on Facebook, where I saw the picture of the zebra in the harness or whatever being flown by a helicopter somewhere. Story said a runaway pet zebra that was on the loose for more than a week in Tennessee was captured on Sunday yesterday. That according to the owners and authorities. Ed the zebra became an internet sensation, was captured safely after being located in a pasture near a subdivision in the Christiana community in central Tennessee. Rutherford County Sheriff. Ed was airlifted and flown by helicopter back to a waiting animal shelter. Said he's safe and 100% healthy. Ed arrived in Christiana, Tennessee on May the 30th. His owner reported him missing the next day. Zebra was spotted and filmed running along I-24. Forcing deputies to shut the roadway. He escaped into the woods. Several different sightings. That somebody filmed him running through a neighborhood. One fake internet post showed Ed dining at a Waffle House. Others had him visiting other Tennessee cities or panhandling on the side of the road. Y'all are funny, man. Y'all are funny. The pursuit of Ed the zebra came a month after a runaway kangaroo shut down a section of an Alabama interstate. What's going on, man? Let me check in with Beaver. That I was reminded about this by Jason on the Country Pleasing text line. I wonder if Beaver saw this stuff about Ed the zebra. Hey, B. Hang on. I just broke this bell. Hang on a second. Hang on. It's great radio, isn't it? Hold on. Enjoy the music while I fix it. Hang on. All right, hang on. Here it is. Now it works. Yep. Fixed it. Come in, B. The zebra was about 40 miles from Hail State fans' house. Oh, yeah. Now, this is a good way. This is a good way to describe it. Danny on YouTube, we were talking about the Tennessee orange, and he called it Dreamsicle orange. And that's kind of what it is, right? There's a lightness and a highlighter to it as compared to the other oranges. Too much of it is too much. Hey, here's Sven over in Berlin, Germany. He said, Hail State, everyone. He said, well, maybe Mr. Vitello recognized that other coaches can coach too. Arkansas was the better team. And said, and Doyle is overrated. Putting clinics on the mound against East Kentucky is okay. He says, but when you play real contenders, Mr. Doyle fails all the time. Same to you, Will. He gave me a happy Monday. Sven said he's pulling for Oregon State to win it all, the Beavers. He says, my team to watch is Coastal Carolina, best pitching of all of Omaha teams and very well coached. Man, they got some tall guys too, don't they? Big guys on the mound. Will says a Coastal Carolina and Oregon State final will be fun to watch. I agree with that. I agree with that. Jason in Flagstaff, Arizona. He commented here on the Country Pleasing text line. He said, Arizona has a heck of a coach. They had to start completely over when LSU bought their coach and half of their College World Series roster after that 2021 season. They hosted a regional last year, and now they're in the College World Series this year. And, yeah, had to back end it to do it, right? Like dropped game one of the Super at North Carolina and gave up 18 runs or whatever the heck that was, and then back ended it 1-2 in a row to get to Omaha. That's a neat deal. Real C text the show. Quick observation of Tony V's behavior this weekend. He said, almost like a job interview. I bet. So he was an assistant there under Dave Van Horn, right? Isn't that the story? So, Real C, are you saying that you felt like Tony Vitello was a little withdrawn? A little pulled back as opposed to normal? What's Will talking about here? He says, Happy Monday, Beef. What's the line on Dire Wolf going on the road to Ed the Giraffe? The dire wolf. I don't think I ever talked to Beaver about the dire wolf. I mean, kangaroos, lab wolves, loose zebras. What in the world is going on? Okay, back over to the live stream. This is on YouTube. Will, he was chiming in. We were talking about the new NIL enforcement that they're putting in place. Will said, I'm sure people are begging for salary caps and contracts, but I don't think it'll fully solve NIL unless they ban NIL. He says, but I think there's no way they'll make that happen. Yeah, I mean, they can't, right? Ban it, so they're not going to do it. I know that's not what you're saying, but yeah, people begging for salary caps and contracts. No, you're right. it's not the kind of thing where it is. What am I trying to say? You know, when you look at private ownership of like the 32 NFL teams, they know that one team out here not being policed and flaunting the rules and getting away with all kinds of stuff, you know, it sort of mitigates the whole product, which the whole league doesn't want. Like they're all helping each other to increase as billionaires as opposed to the other way around. So their competitiveness goes up to a certain point. It's within those boundaries, and then they let it rip from there. And you're right, you're not going to have, because you don't have that in college. You know, I thought the same thing, Will. When I was saying all that, I get it. I thought the same thing. It's not like, having a cap on the revenue distribution at, let's say, an Alabama or a Georgia is going to curb an Alabama or a Georgia booster from using their own funds to help Alabama and Georgia get a player. You go, okay, it's not going to curb it. But at least what it does is it puts some things in place that at least I, as a fan, know are in place. Guidelines that I know are in place. The idea of punitive damages in place if you're caught breaking certain rules, because I'm at least being told in this that all the conference commissioners understand it's best for everybody if they enforce this stuff. And sure, you're going to have rogue over here and rogue over there, and different situations are going to happen, especially as they figure it out, which is what is going to be the case in the next few years. I just think at least it's something, because we have had nothing. From a rules standpoint, you go from having nothing to at least having something. It's easier for me as a fan to sort of wrap my head around it. And do they need caps? Well, sure. More than that, do they need contracts? Well, yeah, they still need that. They don't want to do it because they don't want anybody to be able to sue and prove that it's employer-employee, because then it all is just done. So they're not going to do contracts. But this revenue sharing deal at least is going to get it down the road. And if you're telling me that we're not talking about under-the-table money, we're not even talking about under-the-table payments, we're strictly talking about collectives that are associated with universities doing a straight-up pay-for-play deal with a kid, calling it an NIL. Now that's not going to really pass muster over at the clearinghouse. Well, okay, good, because that's the way it should be. I can understand that. And at least that's going to be a deal where I can go, well, at least they're trying something. All right, hour one is up. Hour two coming up. Stick around.
Man, ever since Coach got his new phone from C-Spire, we're undefeated.
Yeah, he's been using it everywhere. Scouting other teams' game film at the store, watching strategy videos at lunch. He even records himself calling plays in the backyard.
Whoa.
Listen up.
Hey, Dad.
You can call me Coach.
It's amazing what C-Spire's nationwide 5G network can connect. And now, connect with your choice of free phone. C-Spire, inspired by you. 5G not available in all areas. Capable device required. See cspire.com for details.
𝐼𝐬𝐬𝐢𝐬𝐢 Transmission is a third-generation family-owned business, proudly serving Flowood and the Jackson metro area for over 50 years. At 𝐼𝐬𝐬𝐢𝐬𝐢, they specialize in high-quality transmission repair and are known throughout the community for their integrity, expertise, and personal service. For decades, 𝐼𝐬𝐬𝐢𝐬𝐢 has stood as a symbol of reliability and professionalism in the world of transmission services. Online at 𝐼𝐬𝐬𝐢𝐬𝐢.com or call 601-939-9184. 𝐼𝐬𝐬𝐢𝐬𝐢 Transmission, servicing your transmission, foreign and domestic.
The Paul Feinbaum Show on 105.9 FM The Zone is brought to you in part by Waterview Casino, Vicksburg, Mississippi, your favorite sportsbook casino.
Why MRA? Because the path you choose matters. MRA is one of the top K-12 schools in the Southeast in terms of academic achievements, athletic accomplishments, artistic honors, and extracurricular offerings. MRA is one of the fastest growing schools in Mississippi. Call MRA today at 601-856-4455 and schedule a private tour of the MRA campus. Also visit mrapats.org.
How can you free your team from time-consuming office tasks? Amazon Business. Smart business buying tools enable buyers to find and purchase items fast so they can focus on strategy and growth. Free up your team and focus on your future. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
Are you suffering from equipment dealership disappointment? Thankfully, relief is just around the corner at Sun South. With expert advice and legendary John Deere equipment, Sun South is your prescription for productivity. Side effects may include sudden burst of efficiency, long-term satisfaction, and neighbors asking, "Where'd you get that John Deere?" Other symptoms include faster finishes, smoother rides, and a serious case of dealership loyalty. For quality John Deere equipment, visit Sun South. Equipment for those that do.
Community means being there, putting others first, lifting them up, and letting them shine. At Bank Plus, our core purpose is to enrich lives and build stronger communities, which is why every decision is made by local bankers who know their neighbors and neighborhoods and know how to help, how to make it count, how to make it work. Bank Plus, it's more than a name, it's a promise. Learn more at bankplus.net. Member FDIC.
Fertile Ground Beer Company, Jackson's only brewery located in Belhaven Town Center. Great inside and outside seating, plus plenty of sports on TV. Wings or pizza are always available next door. Follow Fertile Ground Beer on social media to keep up with all events like Wednesday night's trivia and more. And don't forget to liven up your next corporate event, sales meeting, or family get-together by renting the event space at the brewery for a one-of-a-kind experience. Just contact our friendly staff for rates and availability. So come out to Fertile Ground Beer and see where your favorite beers are brewed and support local.
At Davini, we are your hometown Kubota dealer. We're the oldest Kubota dealer in the U.S. That means we've been doing it better longer than anyone else. We have 2 locations in the metro area to serve you, Madison and Jackson. When I say hometown, it means something to us.
We are hometown. We are hometown. We are hometown.
We support our local schools, community organizations, and local municipalities. Shopping and keeping business local keeps our community strong.
We are hometown.
Communities in Southern California urgently need our help. The Los Angeles wildfires have been some of the most destructive in state history. Thousands of homes destroyed, schools, classrooms, libraries, museums, places of worship, all lost, and livelihoods ruined. With so much devastation, students, families, businesses, and communities are now left struggling to recover. And that road to recovery will be a very long and a very difficult one. But there is hope. The SoCal Fire Fund provides immediate, free, and long-term support for countless community-centered recovery programs. You can be a part of providing those most impacted with the resources they need to move forward. So please, visit SoCalFireFund.org to learn more about how you can join in this tremendous effort.
Mama, what does the chicken say?
Chicken. Oh, okay.
And wolf?
Oh, a wolf.
Ooh! What about the tiny dog? Cat? Owl? Dolphin? What does the turkey say? Whale?
No, whale sound.
Do the giraffe.
Giraffe, really? Okay. Giraffe. Giraffe.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are buckled correctly in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right.
Visit NHTSA.gov/the right seat.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
WRKS Pickens Jackson.
We are good to go.
With more of the Matt Wyatt Show. Coming to you direct and live at the Zone 105.9 and worldwide.
Now, here we go.
At the Zone 105.9.com.
All right, back with you. Hour 2 off and running. I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go! With the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau Insurance all across the great state of Mississippi. Get on in here. You can be a part of the show. I hope you will be. I got hot coffee here from High Point Roasters in New Albany, Mississippi. Go to highpointroasters.com. You can get some of that there. I'm drinking. And so, you know, being on the show, it's kind of like, it's not exactly the same, but it's similar to just plop down at the table with us, pull up a chair, we'll pour you some coffee, and we'll take off and see where we go. So you can comment on the live stream if you're on YouTube or Facebook or X, formerly Twitter. Text me on the Country Pleasing text line. That number is 885-3776. That's a 601 number, 885-3776. You can also call me on the Divinity phone. The number to call, 897-1059. 601 number, 897-1059. Real C texted the show here. He said Dave Van Horn seemed like he's ready to hang him up soon. He said that super displayed the most calm and professional behavior I've seen from Tony Vitello to this point. And said, of course, his time there, it's home, and Dave Van Horn's recommendation will carry most of the weight when it does become his time to bow out. And Real C said, Tony wants that gig. Well, you know what? I'll say this, Real C. You're not the first person to make that observation strongly, like it's apparent to you. I guess I didn't pay that close attention, but I'll go with it. Think he's tired of Tennessee? So he's an Arkansas native, is that right? Tony Vitello? I hadn't looked it up. And that would make even more sense, it seems like. Will commented here. We were talking about uniforms a bit ago. Will said, I don't mind powder blue. I just hate how Ole Miss thinks they own the color. Newsflash, UCLA, La Tech, Illinois, Kansas, and more all use the same color. And then he said, honorable mention, Tar Heel blue. Yeah, see, that's the thing. I guess I went pro. I went kind of primarily baseball is what it was because, you know, like I say, in the early 80s, I grew up watching the Braves on the road. They're wearing that light blue, which you would call it powder blue, but so did the Cardinals on the road. So did the Phillies on the road. So did the Twins on the road. Of course, the Royals did on the road. You know, it was all the baseball thing. But you went college, and yeah, there's variations of it, right? UCLA, La Tech, Illinois, which is unusual when they do, but it looks good. Kansas, and of course, Tar Heel blue. And it's a little different. But, you know, you do have to be honest that the Ole Miss light blue changed somewhere along the way. I don't know exactly what the benchmark was. I know that, you know, in the good old days, their helmets in football were always that light blue, and I think they called it powder blue, right? But then somewhere in the more recent, when it became more popular in terms of their uniforms, what I've noticed is their uniforms are a much different color of blue than the old powder blue they used to have like on their helmets. And the light blue they're wearing in their uniforms is a much different shade of that color than what they're selling on a lot of their clothing. You see a lot of fans that are wearing the actual blue from back in the day, but the uniforms don't have that. Some other blue. But that'll do it for the uniform conversation. All right, over to the phone line, the Divinity Equipment phone line. Divinity Equipment in Madison and in Jackson, your Kubota dealer. They are the oldest Kubota dealer in the U.S., in fact, which means they've been doing it better, longer than anybody else right here at home at Divinity. On line one, More Bully. What's up, More Bully?
Matt, What's going on?
Not much, man. Good to hear from you.
Hey, I need to say something before I forget, because as Beaver knows, I forget stuff because I just forgot something with him.
Okay.
Hey, Beaver, put me on hold when I get done so I can tell you what I remembered. I need to ask him something I forgot.
All right.
But as I was on hold for 17 minutes, I remembered. So it's all good. Ironically, the old school Jeeps that look like an Army Jeep?
Yeah.
Actually. One just turned in front of me, and it was powder blue.
Really?
Yep.
Of course, what? The
about
Broncos, like the old Bronco and then the new one that they're coming out with, powder blue was always a popular color in those. And it is these new ones. You see a bunch of the powder blue ones now.
Hey, Matt.
Yeah.
I got to go. I'm getting a call from who.
Oh, tell her we said hey.
I will.
Sweet.
Later.
All right, over to line 2, Wayne hanging on. What's up, Wayne? Hey, Wayne, you there? I think he's breaking up. Wayne, you might need to call us back. Hang up, call us back. We can't hear you. This more bully thing. Hold on, I got to check in with Beav on this more bully thing for just a second. I'm not sure about that. Hey, Beav, welcome to hour 2. You realize what more bully just did?
What?
So he called in. He was on hold for what? About 5 minutes? Max?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Okay, and then he misspoke and said it was 17 minutes. Then he starts giving you orders as if you're listening. Then hangs up on us because something else is going on in the background. How do you feel about that whole scenario that just happened with more bullying?
Yeah, I don't like it. It's exactly what you're pointing out. It's weird. We're on his time.
We are on his. He called us, but we're on his time.
Yeah, you called Matt Wyatt.
Hey, Beaver, I got a theory. I don't think somebody called his phone. I think his boss was walking around the corner. What you want to bet?
You know what? That sounds about right. Because every time he calls lately, for a while there, he didn't call because he said, I can't. I got a new job.
Yeah, that's right.
And now he's called a few times, and every time I'm like, are you supposed to be calling? Well, that's okay when I'm driving. I don't think you're really driving. You bring up a good point, Matt Wyatt. He's at work. You're risking your job to talk to Matt Wyatt. Think about that.
Well, but I'm honored. Okay, but point taken. All right. But I'm honored. But Beav, listen. Calls us. Is on hold for less than 5 minutes. Gets on, says it was 17, which it couldn't possibly have been. And then goes, hey, I got to go.
And this is where we run into a situation. Because when he pulls stuff like that, what I like to do is ignore the phone the rest of the show. But the problem is, we don't have caller ID. So I just have to ignore every call that comes in just in case it's him. So I'm trying to prove a point to him, but if anyone else calls, they catch the brunt of it. So it's not a good sitch.
Everybody else suffers the brunt. All because of him. Hey, Beav, now that I have your attention, are you familiar with Ed the Zebra?
No, not until Jason mentioned it today. That was literally the first time I had heard of this guy.
I didn't see or hear the story, but I did see the picture on social media. I just didn't click and read. but of the zebra hoisted up into the air, getting a free helicopter ride. I did see that picture. You know what, Beaver? You know why we didn't see the story and don't know the details? We are not watching mainstream news, are we? Be honest.
I guess not.
See, I know I'm not. You think like something like that's a story like you would see on, let's say, NBC Nightly News or The Today Show or Good Morning America, whatever that stuff is. I never watch any of it. Never, ever look at any of that stuff. I've gone so far, Beaver, at taking a hold of my own attention span and controlling so specifically what my attention is given to, that it does cause me at times to maybe miss a story or two like that. And maybe it's bad, but I'll tell you this, most of the time it's good. Most of the time it's good.
I'll tell you what else I didn't like, and it's regarding this Ed the Zebra. So I did, because you sent me a message during the break.
Yeah.
I heard, like I said, Jason mentioned it. It's the first time I've heard of this Ed fella. Then you asked me, had I seen it during the break? So then I Googled it. And, obviously on the Googles, you're going to get, here's going to be a headline from one place. And there was one from an Alabama, a newspaper in Montgomery. Well, this happened in Tennessee. Alabama wanted to jump in, and this writer, and I imagine they were so proud of themselves. The headline says, "Can Alabamians own zebras?" Well, it's not black and white. Okay, all right, first off, it was in Tennessee. You're trying to jump over here and make it your own. It has nothing to do with you, Alabama. And then you want to put that. What would that be? Would that just be a play on words, or would that be a pun? I don't know what you're trying to do.
I don't think it's really a pun. I think it is a play on words, though. Oh, Beaver. I almost wish you hadn't told me that because, man, how pitiful is the media scene overall these days? Beaver, let's back up for a second. Is this show considered media?
I don't think so.
See, I don't think so either. Not in the truest sense of that term gets thrown around. This is more fun zone. This is 2 hours of skeet ball every day in the middle of the day. Beav, when you went to the arcade, an arcade or a fun zone or a Showbiz Pizza, what were the games you enjoyed the most?
Oh, that was Chuck E. Cheese.
Okay,
and that was skee ball.
Skee ball. I said skeet ball, but I meant skee ball. You can tell I got some redneck in me, can't you? Skeet ball. Skee ball, absolutely the best. You were racking up those little tickets, weren't you? In some skee ball.
No, because I could never get it in that tippy top 50,000 circle.
Oh, really?
And I was, you had these kids stand up and walk on the belt and go. You could place it in there. Yeah. Highly illegal, of course, and cheating. But I wouldn't do it, and my parents would never let me do it.
Okay. But did you ever go to Showbiz? Wait a minute. Did you say Chuck E. Cheese?
Yeah.
Which is similar to Showbiz, but different. The one we had in North Alabama was Showbiz Pizza. We didn't have Chuck E. Cheese, but it's a similar deal. Big, robotic, animatronic animals that would just scare the living daylights out of most kids. That's what they had at Showbiz Pizza. But did it have the games? You could rack up the tickets and then go to the counter and buy something with it. Buy it's So, Beav, did you ever have that experience where as a kid you got a pocket full of these tickets and you've got to know how many you have and then find something you want that you can afford with your number of tickets? You can cash in at the counter. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
So you had that experience. What did you get? What do you buy in that situation?
I don't remember things that they had.
Okay, so once I racked up on like a pocket full of those little rubber bouncy balls that, like you throw them against the pavement and they bounce out of sight. What do you call those? I used to love those things. Okay, so I racked up on a pocket full of those one time. What else? What do you call that thing, Beaver? I'm going to have a really hard time describing this to you, but it was a toy. It was a singular toy that came in a box. But what it was this little metal, like aluminum rail that had a wheel that would spin on it. And if you moved your hand just right, this thing would just go back and forth, balancing on this little wheel, spinning back and forth. What do you call that? Anyway, got one of those things one time. You know what kids used to get all the time I thought was so stupid, Beaver? Slap bracelets. Do you remember that?
Yes, of course I remember slap bracelets. I wish they still existed today. What's your problem with slap bracelets?
Well, I just remember there was a time when at Showbiz Pizza in North Alabama, up there in Florence, we'd go, and all my friends were they would rack up on these tickets, and they couldn't wait to get up there and buy. It was like a competition to get up there and buy the slap bracelets. And I thought it was stupid. I would ask questions like, what are you going to do with it? Wear it? Why? How many of those can you wear at one time anyway? Like, what's the point of that? I get a pocket full of these bouncy balls. We're having a blast. We're bouncing them in the car, at home, at church. I mean, what are you going to do with a slap bracelet? Well, anyway, that was my thought on it back then, Beaver. But you thought it was cool. Maybe I was the idiot.
Yeah, I like slap bracelets.
So they're
of course you wear them. And now think where we've come now, though. Okay. Matt White, let me give you a would you rather have. Would you rather have the slap bracelets, which, were just fun. And I think we were so fascinated by the fact that you slapped your wrist with it. That was a big selling point of it.
There was some action there, yeah.
Yeah. Now, those evolved into something. And what those evolved into, would you rather have had those, or they evolved into these? We first started seeing them, they were the Lance Armstrong style bracelets.
Wait a minute. Help me picture it.
The Live Strong, they were the yellow bracelets before Lance Armstrong came out as a complete and total fraud.
Okay, the little plastic, rubbery, stretchy things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. From that, then remember we moved into an area where people, even though that started as it was donating money to cancer research, people took it and decided they were just going to sell things. And they put like little words on them like baller and you can do this and no one is as strong as you. And then people are wearing like 10 of these at one point.
Lots of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So I'd rather have the slap bracelet than that.
Do you remember the WWJD bracelets? What would Jesus do bracelet?
Yep. That was a thing.
I actually wore one of those in college during the ball games and stuff. I always had one on. I don't know where. Someone had given it to me, maybe. And that was the thing. Oh, man. Hey, rate it. 1 to 10, Beaver. Rate this. You ready? Air hockey.
Air hockey was good. 1 to 10. You asked me 1 to 10. I disregarded that. I give it a 7.
All right. So would skee ball be above that on the scale of 1 to 10?
Oh, skee ball. Love skee ball. Skee ball's a 9.
It's a 9? Okay. I'm just getting some perspective there. Hey, that's it. Jared, that's it. I just looked at it. It was a gyro wheel, magnetic gyro wheel. That was the toy. See it? Beaver, are you seeing the picture of it there on the Country Pleasing text line? Mm-hmm. I was really tickled the day that I racked up enough skee ball tickets to go buy one of those suckers. Yes, sir. Hey, More Bully has weighed in, Beav. He texted the show. He said, I'm mad at y'all now and not participating in the show. If I were, I'd tell you it's a Super Ball and I believe a gyroscope. But again, I'm not participating. Well, you're close. Okay, so we called it skee ball.
Wait, Matt Wyatt. I'm sorry. But let's just go back. He hung up on us.
Yeah.
How are we the ones that are, you're mad at this? You left us.
You left us. I mean, good for Pete's sake, More Bully. No. Okay, so everybody says that it was called Super Ball. And you know, we're calling it skee ball and they're calling it Super Ball. I don't know how we even got on this subject, but toys at the arcade. When we come back, we'll continue that discussion, including classics like the kazoo. You know good and well, some of y'all spent $25 playing skee ball so you could go to the counter and get a kazoo. Back after this.
I'm Eddie Holcomb with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I'm Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and MurrayWest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. I say they do quality stuff. They really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, MurrayWest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough. If you need your logo printed, embroidered, sewn on to anything, custom apparel and other stuff, make sure you go there. Murray West, you can find them online. MurrayWest.com. That's MURRY West.com.
I had this opportunity come up through a friend of mine that was agent here at Farm Bureau that, he said this may be something I like to do because he knew I was involved in the community. And what we do, we're supporting the community. We're doing stuff to protect the members of our community. I've been here almost a decade. And what we do, we help people every day through the products we sell. We make recommendations to them, stuff to protect their assets, protect their lives, their families, and we're local. We're local people. Everybody that works in this office has grown up here, lived here, played ball in this community. I've coached in this community, been on the park boards, the sports league boards, the booster club boards. The community is what's important here in Farm Bureau. We push the local community. We're a Mississippi company. That's a Washington School team ball from 2019. Greg Wallace was the head coach then, and him and I were really good friends. I've been in Greenville my whole entire life. My family's been here. This is home. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here to support the people of Washington County, protect them. I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County. We are the home team.
I think you know what time it is. It's time to eat. Country pleasing, jalapeno and cheddar, green onion. And no, it's not a grill, see that? But the fire is just about burnt down enough where it's time to put some of this on there. And the only decision when it comes to country pleasing sausage is which flavor, jalapeno and cheddar or maybe green onion. Both. Break me off a piece of that. Look at that. What that is. That's real green onion. Like that monkey who set his tail on a railroad track. It won't be long now.
.com.
Back with you. I'm Matt. In the Bureau, the Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Staying connected to you because of C-Spire, the #1 network in Mississippi is C-Spire. Customer inspired. Check them out at cspire.com. When you went as a kid, arcade or like Chuck E. Cheese or Showbiz Pizza, and you racked up in the games with those tickets, you got to go to the counter and spend your tickets. What were you spending it on? That's what we got into a bit ago. Let me know. Text me. Let me know. It's 885-3776. That's the number to text. 885-3776. Reminder, looking forward to seeing y'all end of the month. We're getting closer and closer. I mean, heck, it's already the 9th of June. Later this month on the 26th, 27th, 28th, I guess that'll be the final weekend or leading into the final weekend of June. Y'all need to go to Camper Corral there in Madison/Gluckstadt. It's their customer appreciation sale on the 26th, 27th, 28th. So if you're in the RV world, if you've ever thought about it, here's a chance for you to save. It might be time to jump all over it. Plus, we're going to have a day up there. We get to go do the radio show and hang out. So I hope you'll come by. I'd love to see y'all. You know, really and truly, anytime we've ever gone and done a remote radio show, it's like actually talking on the air is not the most fun part. The most fun part is just getting to see everybody. You know, you hang out and shake hands, talk during the commercial breaks, and get to see everybody. So I hope y'all will come by. Again, that's at Camper Corral. Their customer appreciation sale on the 26th, 27th, 28th of June. I think the 27th is a Friday, and that's probably the day we're going to be up there. During those 3 days, you'll get 20% off all parts that are sold at Camper Corral. Plus, during those 3 days, you can get anywhere between 25 and up to 40% off MSRP on all the campers. And during those 3 days, anybody who buys a new or used RV is going to be entered into a drawing for a Flex Armor roof upgrade. That's value anywhere from $6,000 to $10,000. So put that on the calendar. We'll see you at Camper Corral at the end of the month. More of your texts coming up right now over to the phone line, the Divini Equipment phone line. Let's see, line 1, Winslow. What's up, Winslow?
Matt, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. You know what? It was a fine weekend as far as I'm concerned. What about you?
Oh yeah, and it started Thursday night. I mean, I didn't see any official crowd estimates, but I asked around the press box, and most people felt like it was 5,000 to 6,000 there. And they didn't even play a ball game. You know, how about that?
Yeah. I heard different numbers, and I'd heard 3,000. Somebody texted us 4,000. You're saying you heard more than that.
Yeah, and you know, not that it really matters. I mean,
yeah, right.
You know, you weren't going to draw what you did like for the Natty celebration or whatever, but you know, it turned out to be an interesting night. You know, I got home and I'd had a little equipment accident. The bracket of my tripod that holds the iPad I use broke, So I found out that it is not possible for a human to hold an iPad still for 30 minutes. It just does not work. So I got home and I'm like, my God, this may be the most important video that you've ever shot. And here comes Hail State to the rescue. I don't know if it was the first time, but they put out a video link, a link to video download.
Okay.
And so here I go, and I'm using the university's footage and everything. And it wasn't an all-nighter, but it was a half-nighter.
Yeah,
and
gotcha.
then, I'm right in the middle of trying to do the press conference and everything, and I get a DM that said, while you're at it, can you like pull out Coach's part of the program,
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at it and I was like, sure, it's only a 10 gig download. I can do that on my phone, But as it turned out, it was a lot of work, but a lot of people seem to have appreciated it. And, we pulled out his opening statement separately, and then that's been shared with a lot of the Virginia people who were kind of denied, hearing from him.
Sure. Yeah.
And then today I retweeted, I have a UVA counterpart in the CBC, and he wrote a nice little piece last week, and he's as much a lifelong fan of UVA as I am of Mississippi State. So, when he talks about how he came to be there and what it meant to him, and then he gives his blessing to this.
Yeah.
It's very gratifying to see that, because very unusual for a fan base to lose a coach of his stature and not feel a little jilted,
Oh yeah, that I'm certain. Well, and I made the statement in the first hour, Winslow, that if you're a State fan, and if we're sitting here and we're happy that he leaves Virginia and brings half the team with him, or at least what feels that way, a bunch of their players coming, then if it ever turns around and goes the other way someday, you just have to sit here and take it and just go, well, that's the world we live in. Because if it benefits you and you're okay with it, then you got to be okay with it when it doesn't benefit you.
Yeah, and you bring that up, there's a lot of people saying, well, a couple of them they're going to go pro, and they may well do that. One of the questions that was asked of Coach O'Connor, though, was about his track record with getting so many draft picks to come to campus. And, he went through kind of a coach speak explanation of it. But, I asked my counterpart, I said, how much is that going to play into this? I mean, what is the chances of one or both of those players making it to State? And he said, look, you got to understand Coach O'Connor's reputation with players and their families. And he said, one of the things he said the other night, he said he likes making hard decisions. Mm-hmm. And imagine you're sitting there and you're the head coach, and you can see that it's in that player's best interest to sign, and you tell him that. Basically you're denying yourself, a great player, but your reputation is so important that, you'd sooner deny yourself a great player than to, be selfish.
Yeah.
So to me, that's the most important point about that. In fact, my friend said, whatever Coach Oak tells them, that will be the best thing, and that will most likely be what they do.
Yeah, that's cool. Hey, did you get a chance to ask him the cigar question?
No, but David Murray asked him a Ron Polk question, and he asked him if he had seen his museum and everything. And, Coach Oak grew up across the river in Council Bluffs, Iowa, and he talked about his mother still lives there and has all these stacks of programs from when he went to Rosenblatt as a kid.
Oh.
And he said, I've seen Ron Polk's teams there, and he said, I've got programs from those, and so he kind of connected it there.
That's really cool.
And then one of our guys was at the Louisville Super Regional yesterday and posted a picture of Chris Flamonis being there, which is where he used to coach.
Yeah.
So, reports of Chris Lemonis alive and doing well are pretty accurate, I can say.
That's good. Winslow, good to hear from you. I appreciate the phone call.
Thank you, man.
Yep, thank you. Yeah, it was a good weekend. Well, it seems like it. Get your roster squared away. Somebody even commented, who was it? Sven. Sven said over here on YouTube, if Sullivan comes back, we're an Omaha team. And I would expect it for this case. He said, if it gets crazier, he said, Mr. Khan has 1 year left. Think about that if Pico would return for one last ride. That would be something. I got some pieces of the puzzle. It does look that way. And a lot of excitement. All right, over to the text line. Let me make up some ground here. John, a few minutes ago, John in Rolling Fork texted. He said, Liam Doyle, Tennessee starter yesterday, gave up the home run to Connor Isaac when State beat TSUN in the SEC tournament last year. That's right, when he was pitching at Ole Miss. MSU 1980 texted the show, said, Matt, will the ruling that allows colleges to give money to the student athletes come entirely from the school's athletics budget, or will the NCAA be contributing some money to each school to be used for this? If it must come entirely from the school's athletics budget, the schools from the non-power conferences will be at a disadvantage, as well as the schools in the power conferences that have smaller athletics budgets. Well, yeah, I think it's out of the school's pocket, because it's a revenue share that is capped at that certain amount, which you're going to do it. You're right. And so some schools, it's $20 million is a smaller portion of their budget than others. And so you can share up to that. And then the school can decide who gets it. It does not determine how you spread the revenue share around. Look at this. J-Rock trying to stir the pot. He said, are you sure More Bully is really not a rebel? He seems a little entitled to me. Oh, why not, J-Rock? Stir that pot, man, on June the 9th. Why not? All right. A little bit of time left with you when we come back here in the Bureau. That is the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Stick around.
I'm Eddie Holcomb with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I am Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
I think you know what time it is. It's time to eat. Country pleasing, jalapeno and cheddar, green onion. And no, it's not a grill, see that? But the fire is just about burnt down enough where it's time to put some of this on there. And the only decision when it comes to country pleasing sausage is which flavor, jalapeno and cheddar or maybe green onion. Both.
Break me off a piece of that.
Look at that. Know what that is? That's real green onion. Like that monkey who set his tail on a railroad track. It won't be long now. Country Pleasing sausage, these flavors, and many, many others. Get them online at countrypleasing.com. At a grocery store near you, pretty much anywhere in the Southeast. Walk up in there and say, Country Pleasing, please. They'll know what you're talking about.
Grew up on a family farm out past Leland, just born and raised here in the Mississippi Delta. Never really thought about moving out. You know, it's where my roots are. Our family's a big sports family. It was 4 boys and 1 girl, and all 4 of us boys went and played ball at Delta Community College. My dad, he's always been honestly a role model of mine. He's farmed his whole life. We attend St. James Catholic Church in Leland, where we went to church my whole life, and then now continuing my family, me and my wife and my 3 kids. Being a Christian is everything for me and my family. Being born and raised here in this area, there's just something about this area. I mean, when you pull into it, you don't see a whole lot, but being born and raised here and the farm families and just the people that grew up here, the people that you see here, you see in the grocery store, you go to church with, small town community, you're gonna run into people that you know. It puts a smile on your face knowing that you know the people in your area, in your community. Get to know them as friends and now bring them in to my office here and creating that relationship, extending it on, getting them as insureds, as customers of mine, who I call friend. I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau, and we are the home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and murraywest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. When I say they do quality stuff, they really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, murraywest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough.
At thezone1059.com.
Sven holding nothing back on YouTube. Yeah, this whole experience here the last couple of weeks ruined all us state people on Florida State baseball, didn't it? Ruined us. Oh, man, I was pulling for Oregon State. I loved it. And that kid who was running his mouth, he didn't make it out of the first inning on the mound last night. Oregon State put up 7 runs in the bottom of the first. Sven said, and to Florida State, there is a reason you can get a degree as a clown at Florida State. He said, look it up. No joke. I'm going to have to look that. I am going to look that one up. I always wanted to be a mascot. I've never done it, never gone through the step. I do want to get to experience being a mascot, like in the suit, but I don't want to be a clown. Russ commented, on Facebook. He said, I'll give you a few arcade toys that stand out to me back in the day. Yo-yos, bouncy balls, that's me. Oh, I mean, there's no telling how many bouncy balls I lost on those hills of Hester Heights in Russellville, Alabama. I mean, they bounce forever, and then they get away on those hills, they gone. Spider rings. Oh, yeah, that was a Halloween thing, too, I remember. You put the little ring on, it's a spider on top. The tops, and then those long, gooey hand things. Oh, what was that? Those slimy hands? You could sling them across the room, and it would stick to the door. Gross. Play with it for 30 minutes, Russ, and you look, and it's got hair all over. And you're like, whose hair is this? Isn't that terrible? It's terrible, but true. State Grad 98 texted the show, said the mainstream media is full of zebra manure. That's great. Denzel said that his daughter turned 6 this past Saturday. Said she had her party at Chuck E. Cheese. We got there early to get everything ready. Said the first game that me and her played was skee ball. Best arcade game on the planet. I'm telling you. Here you go. Skee ball in your house. You know, what is it that they say? That meme? If I ever win the lottery, I'm not going to tell everybody, but there will be signs. Yep. Skee ball in the house. Brando sent a side-by-side picture. The Chuck E. Cheese that I grew up with would have had today's Chuck E. Cheese in the back of a trunk. No doubt. Look at who's smoking a cigar. Y'all, when you went to Chuck E. Cheese, when Brando was a kid, the main character, the mouse at Chuck E. Cheese, stood on stage holding a microphone, his eyes halfway shut, smoking a cigar. It was like a Sinatra version of this mouse. And today's Chuck E. Cheese mouse is all friendly and everything. But that's what I said about Showbiz Pizza. I remember the first time I ever went, and I'd seen the commercial, so I had an idea, and everybody was going, and we had a Showbiz Pizza they put in up in Florence. And so we rode 20 minutes up there, you know, we go, you get your seat, and they got a stage up there, but the curtains are pulled, you can't see it. And they bring your food out, and all of a sudden the music kicks up, and the curtains open, and the stage spins around, okay? And if you ever went to Showbiz Pizza, does that even still exist? Is it even still in? I mean, I don't know, but you know what I'm talking about. And up on that stage was a giant animatronic. Is that the right word for it? Yeah, animatronic bear, grizzly bear playing a banjo. A giant animatronic polar bear playing the electric guitar, lead guitar. A giant animatronic gorilla playing the piano, and several other things. And so they play the music, and these things would dance around and move around and stuff. And I got to be honest with you. The first time I saw it, I wanted to get out of there. Thinking, this may be great pizza. I'm not hungry anymore. I felt like those things were looking at me, making eye contact. I wanted out. And but I slowly but surely warmed up to it. Pizza was good. Let's see. RT texted the show. Said he had a ping pong, pool table, air hockey. Yeah, he had all three in one. Jared texts. He said, I think those posting Super Ball are talking about the bouncy ball, not skee ball. Oh, yeah, okay. That's it. So skee ball is the game. Super Ball is the bouncy ball. Yeah, that would you bounce it off the sidewalk at home, and it's over the house. Boing. Those things were awesome. Especially the big ones. The big ones that hurt somebody. And they stopped selling those because they were hurting people. Hunter texted the show. He said, skee ball is the arcade game. Super Ball is a Price is Right game based on skee ball, according to Price is Right fandom, fandom.com. St. Louis Vic said, once we were given a huge pile of tickets and ended up getting one of those things that would take the shape of your hand or face. And yeah. A different time, he got the disco light. Oh, what's a disco light? Real unnamed texter. We were talking about Tony Vitello, and he's clarifying. He says Tony Vitello is not from Arkansas. He was born in St. Louis. He played for Missouri, and he was an assistant coach at Missouri before Arkansas. Okay. So he's a Missouri native. Jason in Flagstaff says, he said, that's got to be part of this. State needs to keep some of these guys on campus, unlike last year, instead of them going to ride the bench in Albuquerque as an 8th round draft pick. Yeah, keep them in school. And, you know, again, I guess people are saying that the money is part of that you just have so much of a better chance of keeping the players in college for another year. I don't know about y'all, but I felt like Bryce Chance saying that he's going to come back and play another year is huge because, one thing I think of is, particularly in baseball, those fifth-year guys, those fourth, and fifth-year guys, when all of a sudden they walk out there and they're the oldest guy on the field, that stuff usually really pays off for them and the team. And I feel like Chance saying he's going to come back was a big deal for them. And just guys like him, when you're piecing in new players from the Virginia program, most of them. Dog Tired in Florence texted the show. He said, bring back the mega accounting firm Arthur Anderson. They can cook books on a national level. If a school doesn't have $20 million to spare now, nor ever will, maybe Arthur can find it for them. You're saying, Dog Tired, you're saying that success in athletics, even if it requires it, just cook the books. Let's see. What is this unnamed texter sent us? Yeah, that thing that had the two marbles on the end of the string, and you had to like clack them together, drive everybody berserk with it. Yeah, Mailman David said Chuck E. Cheese had a band made of dogs. They called them the Beagles. Most superior unnamed texter, it says here on the country pleasing text line, says, good afternoon, Matt. Good afternoon, Beef. I too enjoy the band at Chuck E. Cheese's. They were all creepy looking, but I think I was like one or two kids that didn't run when the curtains drop and those things start blinking their eyes and moving their lips. So a lot of kids tore up out of their seat. That's the way I was. Those things start blinking their eyes and moving and kind of every now and then making eye contact with me. Nope. Don't want it. I didn't need this. Oh. All right. And hey, one more reminder. We're getting closer and closer and closer. I want you to put it on your calendar, okay? The end of the month, it'll be the final weekend of the month, 26th, 27th, 28th, at Camper Corral, Gluckstadt. It's the Customer Appreciation Sale. That's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, June 26th, 27th, 28th. Customer Appreciation Sale. If you're in the RV market, a chance to save a lot of money. They'll have 20% off all the parts that are sold on those 3 days. You'll have anywhere from 25 to 40% off MSRP on all the campers. And if you buy a new or used RV during those 3 days, you're entered into a drawing for a Flex Armor roof upgrade. Those range from $6,000 to $10,000. Plus, on the 27th up there on that Friday, we'll be up there doing the radio show and hanging out. So y'all come on, put it on the calendar, okay? Good deal. All right, that was fun today. We got through it, man. We made it. On to the next one. For Beaver, I'm Matt. All of us here on the show. In the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. We'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. See you then. See you.